the narration of wartime Burma, where the characters Claire and Ichiro navigate the turbulent times. Then there's 1970s Chittagong, where the characters Honufa, Jamir, Rahim, and Zahira face the Bhola cyclone. And then the time frame shifts to 2004 in Washington, D.C., where Shahryar and Anna grapple with the past. Uh, Now we see how distances are collapsing in the narrative of this novel. The geographical stretching of the novel, it collapses distances and juxtaposes personal and political trajectories. Because Shahryar, who is the character living in Washington, D.C., his quest in 2004 mirrors the temporal and spatial disruptions that were caused by the cyclone in 1970. And we also see the juxtaposition of local wisdom versus geopolitical failure in this novel, because it contrasts the local omens with state failures. When the storm was about to hit, the people at the shore, they saw boatmen who used to appear on the sea whenever there was a big storm that was about to hit. This is attuned to the ecological precursors, which are beyond official warnings. And as far as official warnings are concerned, the warnings of tropical storm Nora were not relayed from India to East Pakistan because the relations between the two countries were not good. So in the book, the Vortex Adamson writes how the absence of modern warning systems highlight the villagers' reliance on traditional knowledge and intuition, which reflects a landscape which is alive with meaning. So what happened was during that time, there was no official communication about the storm that was going to hit the shores. But the people living there, they had to rely on their own traditional knowledge and intuition. And they had somewhat made some preparations for the impending storm. The official neglect during this time is also of importance.
Excuse me, there's echo.
Shall I continue?
Carry on, sir. Carry on. Sorry.
Okay.
You can continue.
Okay. So when the cyclone hit the Bangladeshi shore in 1970, we see a contrast between the intimate responsive terrain of the villages with the removable extractive gaze of West Pakistan, because the government was basically based in West Pakistan. And West Pakistan offered very slow and grudging relief measures, even turned down assistance from India and other foreign countries, which the people of East Pakistan could have used at that time. So now we come to how vernacular is reclaimed. It is reclaimed through interconnected narratives, which are not only personal stories, but they are also interconnected with real historical events. And if we look at space-time compression, the global and local scales, they converge during times of crisis, but they are also not available to everybody. And here, vernacular wisdom becomes of utmost importance because it is the local knowledge which actually helps the people in the face of environmental threats. Now, coming to the last book, which is The Vortex, here we see the bureaucratic indifference that was there during that time. And this book depicts a connection between the underplayed nuclear brinkmanship between the Soviets and the US in the Bay of Bengal that was playing out at that time. And it also talks about Bangladesh's war for liberation and how the devastating cyclone of 1970 actually fueled that movement. So this book has a multifaceted narrative where it has personal accounts and stories from survivors and political leaders. And it also talks about environmental justice and highlights the convergence of environmental and social issues. It also talks about political power and examines the dynamics of political power during the crisis. The plight of Muhammad Hai, there is a instance in the book where this is a real instance of a person named Muhammad Hai, who was a resident of Manpura Island. And through his story, we can see how that entire scene played out when the cyclone hit. So, Muhammad Hai faced a lot of confusion and isolation because there was no official communication to the villagers and the population that was living at that time. So, in a way, he was as much a slave to the weather as to his own lack of social mobility. He did not have any means of communicating with the outside world and receiving any information or aid after the cyclone. And not only him, the entire village at that time, they that received no official warnings. And there was only one instance where on the radio they received the warning of red 4, red 4, which they misinterpreted as less dangerous than 10. Actually, what happened is during that time, the intensity of the cyclones were measured on a 10-point scale. But just a few months before the cyclone had hit, that 10-point scale was changed to a 5-point scale. So the most intense cyclone would have been a red 5. But since this was not communicated to the people, they did not pay much attention to this warning of red 4, thinking that it is only a cyclone of intensity 4 on a 10-point scale. So, looking at the cyclone's fury and aftermath, we see that there was a huge devastation and massive loss of life. And uh, the cyclone was one of the most intense that had hit that region. And Hai himself, Muhammad Hai himself, buried nearly 180 of his own neighbors. And more than 40,000 of Manpura's 50,000 residents were dead after the cyclone. And post this event, there was no official help that was given to the people. And the survivors had to eat tree roots and raw snake, coconut rinds, and bark to survive. Now, these are some of the inhabited risks of the vernacular. Being in a vernacular landscape, which is dissociated from the official landscape. Because after the cyclone had hit, the wells were contaminated, the crops were decimated, and there were rotting corpses, which highlighted political failure and neglect. Now, at this time, the villagers' intimate local knowledge was the only thing that offered survival strategies amidst government's abandonment. To look at how the vernacular is paved over by the official, we can look at these two instances where in the book it is mentioned how the Pakistan army hoarded aid that was flying in from foreign countries, and they were very indifferent to local needs. So they were not institution called Help, which had volunteers which were led by Candy and Marty. So this NGO used community knowledge to effectively distribute aid. And there is also an instance where the then president of Pakistan, Yahya Khan, had come to survey the devastation that was caused by the cyclone. And while surveying the devastation from a helicopter, he downed an entire six-pack of alcohol. And when he landed in that area, a few dozen dead bodies were laid out for his inspection. And despite seeing all of this devastation, he refused to declare a national emergency. So this aerial oversight encapsulates the emphasis on differential mobility. Such imbalances, like for example, Yahya Khan had the ability to move from one place to another, but that was not the case with the people who lived in that area. So these kinds of imbalances in movements and control, they serve to weaken the leverage of the already weak. Now, remapping the vernacular happens in the instance of Help, the NGO, which became a de facto network as a survivor struggle for food was inseparable from justice. And we can also contrast this with Yahya Khan's detachment versus Mujibur Rahman, who was the local leader who was providing direct aid. So these aspects highlight the divide between state failure and vernacular solidarity. So to conclude, the biopolitical reflection of the frontier, we can see that the dynamics of the lives of people whose lives were spared, neglected, or deemed expendable depended on where they belong from, whether they are from the official landscape or whether they are from the vernacular landscape. And Joni Adamson's distinction also highlights the divide, yet it returns to the of course, natural force was the main cause, but because of institutional failures, it became much more inflated. And using these theories, there are certain limitations also, like it may obscure local specificity and it can underplay hybrid knowledge. That brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you.
That was a great presentation, Roshan and Monica. You brought in the theories as well as analyzed all those texts so well.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Uh, Roshan, I have one question about the use of the term vernacular.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I mean, just curious to know because vernacular is a term that the British gave us, right? They called our
Yes.
language as vernacular. So, how come that term got employed in this?
It's
It's
used
a
by
colonial term, I thought.
Yes, ma'am. We have used the theory of vernacular landscapes versus official landscapes. So the meaning of the term may be read only with respect to the theory.
Is it a term you have coined or is it there in
No,
theory?
ma'am. No, ma'am. It is there
Johnny
in theory.
Anderson.
No, it is a term that you are using.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I think, Preeti, it is used by the American Indians. Johnny Adamson and I think justice, environmental justice, they use that term a lot.
They use that term,
Yeah.
is it? Okay. Professor Shreya, thank you for coming on the call. I noticed much later. Welcome, Professor Shreya. Thank you for giving us such a wonderful presentation through your scholars.
Yes.
Um,
Hi,
this is
Shreya.
a hi,
Shilata here.
hi.
Yes.
No, this is a topic that is very close to my heart. So I thought that, and I thought both the presentations today were
Good.
really meaningful. So
I must thank Professor Chitra for giving such a laying the foundation and the conceptualization of how to work in this area of um, frontier narratives. The tools, actually, she gave us the tools, the critical tools. Dr. Chitra's on the call?
Yes, Preeti, I'm here. Thank you
Yeah,
so
Yes.
much for that observation.
yeah.
I think I
And
wasn't dwelling too much on theories, but that's the way I think the work has to be done. Yeah, because it gives you
yeah.
some new
I mean,
perspectives into the text that you are going to work on. So that is how I relate, like, say, theories and the texts.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, actually, if you were given more time, you would have gone into the narratives.
yeah. But yes,
And also for Roshan and Monica, this biopolitics, I mean, bio because of nature.
Yes.
Uh, okay. And I appreciated how, art is used to subvert the narrative, which, art is used in the vernacular narrative. That those drawings and paintings, that was an amazing contribution.
Yes, ma'am. In the entire novel, there is a very young child who keeps on drawing photos, and it was not that her mother actually told her about those things. It was kind of deciphered images that she brings on paper, and it was those images that she
How sees, you know, a great significance.
Yeah,
It's not an opinionated mind. Yes, sir. Sibraman,
yeah.
sir.
That was a wonderful presentation, but I have an observation to make. You can either respond to it or you can even go on. I'm just telling the presenter, Roshan Singh. It was a wonderful presentation. I just have an
Thank you, sir.
observation. You can also respond to this if you want. Okay. See, in fact, in one of your statements, of course, you have made a very good observation that the limitation lies only in the silencing of, I mean, in the merger of these two. So that's where I think I have a question, I have an observation. When we read this novel against all these theories or using the lens of these theories in our times, how would you respond to the idea of what is called the cosmopolitanism? Because that's where the official and the vernacular have to come into being, and taking the post globalization scenario, right, where the cyber world has made the merger somewhat possible, right? The cosmopolitan, as we call it, the vernacular and all that. So how
If we like read deeply, we will see clear.
that's right,
Like,
but how? Yeah.
yes, sir.
How would you substantiate that idea with examples from the novels you have chosen for your study?
Like, in the novel The Storm by Arif Anwar, there is a character Shahryar who lives in Washington DC, and it was his parents who had actually experienced the cyclone, and he only has memories of the cyclone. He had himself not experienced it. He had only heard stories about what had happened at that time, and he lives in Washington DC, a cosmopolitan setting.
Yeah,
But even in that setting, this vernacular event, it affects him deeply, and it shapes his thinking about his homeland.
yeah, that's
So
right.
although
Yeah,
we see an sort of amalgamation and coming together of vernacular and official in the character of Shahryar, but still there are certain distinctions which are also there.
that's why I'm asking whether the application or the use of theory in the analysis of this text imposes certain limitation when it comes to highlighting the idea of cosmopolitanism.
Yes, sir. Of course, it is a limiting factor if we use this. theory in the
That
cosmopolitan
is
setting.
where I often come out for students who have listened to me very often might find this very boring as well. But let me reiterate the point once again. That is for the sake of emphasis. This is the limitation when we proceed. Of course, I am not here to undermine the kind of stuff that your paper has and the presentation that you have come out with. But the thing is, when for the sake of clarity, we proceed from the theory to the text. That's what you also have done. So when we proceed
Yes,
from
sir.
the theory to the text, this is the limitation. Whereas if we proceed from the text to the theory, I think we can, to some extent, overcome this limitation or even highlight this limitation.
Yes, sir. That is why in the last slide, we have mentioned that this particular aspect is a limitation of this kind of study.
Yeah. Let me also give you an example from Amitav Ghosh's Ibis trilogy. There also, the visual memory, if I'm right, in the second novel, River of Smoke, visual memory is highlighted, I think, in the very first part of that novel, second novel of the trilogy, The River of Smoke. And there, once again, right, when we talk about this official history, the official version of history, and or the official landscape, when it takes over, right, how it tries to resist, right, the domination of the official history, that is also mentioned. So there are two types of cosmopolitanism. So one is what is called the subaltern cosmopolitanism. The other one is classical cosmopolitanism. So we need to uh, respond to the idea of striking a balance between the classical and the subaltern, especially in the post-globalization context.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was a wonderful presentation. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Uh, Shivaraman sir, I would just like to uh, just tell you that though I was deeply dwelling with all the theories and stuff like that, never did I move from the theory to the text. Actually, it was a wide reading of all the partition texts and simultaneously reading the theories. We just arrived into such things, but I don't know how the trend is right now because I'm totally away from academics.
No, no. See, it was not to find fault with both your presentations, madam. But the thing is, this is what happens with many of our students. Because for the sake of clarity, we proceed from theory. Unfortunately, students end up tying a sort of a forcible connection between the theory and the text, which is so very superficial. That's why I'm saying. I'm just telling the scholars to be very cautious about uh, about the approach.
Yes, it's only after the wide reading of the partition novels
Exactly.
yeah, and we are trying to fix in, as you say, the suitable quotations and other concepts.
That is also one of the limitations of this modern research framework, madam. This is where I personally feel that we need to move away from this framework to open up certain new avenues, certain new areas, certain new approaches as well.
Yeah, but I think still we are traveling in the same
That's right.
trend. Yeah.
To put it in layman's terms, theory would be worldviews, okay? But yeah, and when you connect to a theory, you're looking for something which will resonate with your observations. So when you're a scholar, You cannot say I theorize, I hereby theorize, and you have to, when you probably gain validity by connecting it to other minds who have touched, who have spoken about the same thing. So I think it's more about validation.
Yeah,
It's a kind of validation
yes,
seeking.
I too agree upon that. And I also feel that, see, we cannot do a thesis without the theory. It's not just for the sake of using
Exactly.
theories we are using. So I feel that theories are nothing but consolidation of the trends that have existed during a particular time. And based on the literary works that had emerged during that particular time, they give certain concepts. Like, say, if it is postmodernism, like Linda Hutchin, she has widely read not only the literatures but also the art and then photography and everything, and the consolidated trends of that particular time she gives us, and we try to fix it upon, like, say, the other texts also, because she deeply dwells with like, say, somebody like Rushdie, and she coins many terminologies. And apart from that, if you read the postmodernist critique by Linda Hutchin, it gives you very beautiful, uh, like, say, a consolidated overview of the trends,
True.
the universal
Friends is
trends.
the keyword.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So that consolidated thing, no, like, we can't do, even though, like, say, I have read some 30 or 35, say, partition novels, like, I can fix only certain of the trends, but only when you, even if it is very cliched to use something like, say, historiographic metafiction and all, it has come to stay there. I think
See, yeah.
we have to sort of agree upon that also.
No, whatever, any field of research, even the sciences, observation, analysis, inference. So when you make your inference, you cannot make assertions without connecting it to thinkers who have gone before you or who are contemporaries, whatever. So you have, it's just the way, the discipline of research more than anything else. It's about the discipline that you make your observations with reference to to research that has gone before yours, ahead of you. I mean, I just feel that. So that's as far as the importance of theory is for
No,
me.
I think Dr. Sivaraman is telling exactly that, telling us to use only things that are relevant to analyze that text instead of far-fetched patch making. That will stand out, no, in research work. I think that is what he is trying to tell the students, not to do that kind of work. But there are times when I have listened to papers, some certain, it just reads the entire paper will be so ill. What do you call? You can't understand, comprehend what they are trying to say for all them. You can't see the trees for the woods or whatever like that. You won't see the exact what the theme is. That will go away when too much of theory is loaded. Theoretical words are also loaded. Students tend to think that they have to bring in so much of it into that only. I mean, into the thesis. Only then their thesis will be one.
And for your, just could you please tell me, Roshan Singh, when exactly the novels that you have chosen were written?
Sir, the novel Noor was published in 2003,
Okay.
and the non-fiction, which is The Vortex, that was published in 2022.
That's why I'm asking. See, taking the time the time at which these two novels, I mean, these two works, chosen works were published. And that's what I think. So when you respond to the event that happened in the 1970, the year, the cyclone happened in the year 1970,
Yes.
right? And the partition happened in 1971. So I personally feel that the you could go one step further to let us know what the response means actually at this point of time. This is where I personally feel that the paper uh, could go further. That is, when this particular novel was written in 2003, and the other one that you are talking about is the most latest, it's the latest one, 2022, right? You're saying that.
Yes, sir.
So when you do that, right, when these novels or when these works are published in the first two decades of the 21st century, um, where do you record the voice of this present? In addition to the novel, of course, the novel itself becomes the voice of the present. But is it possible to bring in the parallel idea from the same from the works written or from any other non-literary sources that belong more or less to the same period, that is, to the first two decades of the 21st century. So, if you can substantiate that idea with support, of course, with evidence from these non-literary sources, need not be literary, it can also be non-literary sources from the 21st century. I think you'll be in a better position to record to analyze the response of the present to this particular event or the cyclone and the partition.
Yes, so the two novels are actually they are fictional texts, but the Vortex is a non-fictional text.
Yeah,
So that book takes its resources from like archival documents, newspaper reports,
yeah,
etc. that were there during that time.
yeah. And that's where I just want to know where exactly, in 2022, because that non-fiction work belongs to 2000, which
Yes,
was
sir.
published in the year 2000 that we have presented. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. I just wanted to know where exactly you find where you exactly find the sources of the present, I'm saying, in the non-fiction part work.
Uh, so the sources from the present, because that event actually happened decades before.
Yeah,
So that book itself is a source of the present because it was published in 2022.
that's yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. I also look forward to that. Is this book available as a PDF or soft copy?
Yes, sir.
I would like to read the non-fiction work, I mean the Vortex,
Yes, sir.
if possible.
If you could put in your email ID in the chat box, I'll send you the PDF.
Yeah.
I have a question. This is Achut of IIT Madras. I am a PhD student, just admitted to the PhD student at the Department of English, English Studies in the Department of Humanities. What exactly is since we were talking about partition literature and as well as the very tough, very complex history of East Pakistan. What is the uh, connection between memory studies and the kind of literary narratives that we were trying to look into? Uh, I mean, does it have a connection, or is it or is there any particular research on that aspect that either Chitra ma'am or
Yes, Achyut, I can tell you, Urvashi Bhuttalia's The Other Side of Silence is one of the most important works in feminist historiography. It is totally based on memory. She goes and interviews more than hundreds of survivors of partition, especially women, and it is all orally recorded interviews which she had structured into the form of a book. So it is a non-fiction writing. Similarly, Ritu Menon and Kamla Bhasin also had done similar works on partition, the gendered aspect of partition, which gives a totally different viewpoint or idea about partition.
thank you ma'am. What was the scholar again, please?
Urvashi
Scholar,
Bhuttaliya, The Other Side of Silence.
the other side of silence.
Yes,
Thank you.
the
Thank you.
other book is I don't remember the title. The author's name Ritu Menon and Kamla Bhasin.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Their articles are available in Economic and Political Weekly. Ritu
Okay.
Menon and Kamla Bhasin.
Come on. Okay. Thank you.
Your microphone is on. I'm sorry, Roshan Singh, I'm sorry, I'm unable to type in here. Can you take down my email ID?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, sivaramanvvs@gmail.com.
Okay, sir.
All small. SIVARAMAN, V for victory, another V for victory, S for success. sivaramanvvs@gmail.com.
Okay, sir. I'll send you the book.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
And please do send in your number as well so that we can stay connected.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Can we wind up the session? It was such a lovely, invigorating, educative, informative one. Thank you to all the presenters, to Dr. Chitra, to Roshan, to Monika. Thanks to Shreya for bringing Roshan and Monika into this forum. Sai, we can wrap up.
Okay, ma'am. Before we conclude, I kindly request all participants to take a moment in the chat box. We are only 2 minutes to respond. It would be a great support. Thank you to everyone who participated in the interactive session and enriched the discussion further. Today's session, spanning the tragic legacies of partition to the unspoken histories of climate disaster, has beautifully illustrated the frontiers are not just boundaries, they are sites of conflict, culture, and critical reflection. On behalf of Intandem, I extend a heartfelt gratitude to Dr.S. Chitra ma'am for her deeply engaging keynote, and to Mr. Roshan Raj Singh and Ms. Monika Rani for the rich and thought-provoking paper. And of course, thank you to each and every one of you participants for making this space of scholarship and dialogue so meaningful. We hope today's discussion stays with you and inspires more such explorations in the sessions to come. Until we meet again, stay curious, stay connected, and keep walking the frontiers of literature. Thank you so much.